Well, I was responsible for the supply chain and information technology functions at Harman International's consumer division. Harman International is about a $4.2 billion company focused on the audio electronic space. There are three divisions: the automotive, which basically is the navigation and the audio equipment for high-end cars. And then there is a professional group that outfits all the theaters and studios and stadiums and all with sound equipment. And then the consumer side of the business where I was is basically products that we sell through our retail stores, through other retailers like Best Buy and others, which are directly targeted for the home segment. So my responsibility was the end-to-end supply chain, except for manufacturing, and the IT function globally.
Are there any insights you can share regarding how to be innovative, especially in light of high oil prices and other risk factors which make it more difficult to be innovative?
Specifically with regard to high oil prices, we sort of started on the path of trying to address our network back in 2007, early part of 2007, when things hadn't, the oil prices hadn't hit the stratospheric levels that they did through the end of 2007, which is to say that we started looking at our transportation costs on the distribution, the front-end side, as well as on the back side. And we did a complete network optimization study for the United States and North America, and that involved looking through all our transactions, every individual transaction, and running it through optimization software, evaluating multiple scenarios. In fact, we evaluated like 33 different distribution networks scenarios and evaluated the delta of the costs with each of these scenarios from our baseline. We did it with two different service providers with two different sets of software to make sure that we were getting consistent results. And we ended up uncovering a significant, opportunity to reduce transportation and warehousing costs, which resulted in a project where we consolidated from 5 DCs for North America to down to 2. And that sort of improved our service levels to our customers also dramatically by an order of magnitude. We used to supply like about 60% of orders took more than 3 days to reach our customers in terms of transit. And we turned that around to cover 98% of our customer orders within 3 days. So it was a significant change in terms of customer service. And also, through that process, we looked at our inbound ocean contracts and things like that to optimize, and we went out on a global bid. We looked very carefully. So even though our size of the company may not be, in the billions and billions of dollars in terms of sales, we did a benchmark with some very large corporations. There is a company out in Atlanta that does this kind of benchmarking. And even though our share of the inbound container volumes was probably less than 1% of the total that was being sampled for the benchmark, we were actually above, under market. So much larger shippers than us were paying significantly more to move their product from China to the U.S. than us, because we were looking at various aspects of optimizing our inbound supply chain and working directly with the carriers and eliminating intermediaries and things like that. So I think overall there's tons of opportunity to reduce cost and to become more efficient and to execute a strategy where, especially in a consumer electronics environment, which is a highly competitive business, margins are thin, and it is very important that costs are kept under control. So if one is a little, with a little foresight, one could probably eliminate a lot of layers of cost through the appropriate supply chain initiatives.
In addition to optimization, centralizing some of the DCs and doing some benchmarking and other cost control, are there other innovative approaches you can take on the revenue side, or any other ways to be innovative in supply chain management?
See, there are several ways, and I think it all depends upon the situation that the company is in. We have experimented with, speed of increasing the velocity of product by, getting product directly from our vendors in Asia down to retail store levels with some, services that we have taken from the parcel contracting carriers. We have looked at, visibility throughout the supply chain. One of the things that, as part of IT that I did was to enable complete transparency from the front end, the customer's end, all the way back down to our vendors through our systems. And because we were all integrated, be able to give ATP commitments to our customers, which then obviously improves the ability to fill orders quicker without high inventory. And that also helps your working capital and your inventory turns and things like that. So I think the other aspect I would emphasize is that on the supply chain side, there's a lot of opportunity in using, the black belt techniques of Six Sigma to solve problems, identify problems, articulate them, because one of the advantages with supply chain is there's tons of data available, and, so Six Sigma approach being so data-driven, there is considerable opportunity there in statistically in analyzing, the performance of different segments of the supply chain, and then focusing your attention on, process improvement there and getting quantum improvements in scale and efficiency.
Any final comments about innovation?
No, I think the innovation is dependent upon the product market scenario of the company, where exactly the company is paying. So, if you look at innovation in a broad sense, it's driven by customer requirements and the specifics of the company that we are talking about. So every company's innovation paradigm needs to be specific to the challenges that the company faces. And so on the supply chain side, I think, if you look at the various segments of the supply chain and identify where your pain points are, that's the innovation that you need to, focus that you need to build into the supply chain.